Hello everyone, here's CRH Films, sit back and we'll get started. Today I'm going to talk about the 2019 film, Platform. A man named Goreng wakes up in a concrete room. Across from him sits an old man, Trimagashi, staring at him intently. The protagonist learns that they are on level 48 and the main question is what they will eat, and they will eat what is left over from the upper floors. In the center of the room there is a cutout in the floor. Goreng looks into it and sees that there are many more of the same rooms below them, each with two people living in them. Lifting his head he realizes that there are many floors with people above them as well. Trimagashi begins to explain the construction of the pit. He says it's all about food. Sometimes it's easy to get and sometimes it's impossible. It all depends on the level you are on. They are lucky because they are on level 48 and will have enough food, and adds that the people in the pit will soon be fewer. Goreng tries to talk to the people on the lower floors. Trimagashi says it's not appropriate to address the lower ones, and the upper ones won't talk to him. Those are the local rules. Trimagashi finishes speaking and kneels in the middle of the room as the food platform approaches. He pounces on the food like an animal. Goreng looks on in disgust as he sees this and won't eat anything. He realizes this food has already been eaten by 94 people, but soon he notices an apple and puts it in his pocket. A few minutes later the platform comes down below. Trimagashi finishes his wine and throws the bottle down and lies down on the bed. Meanwhile, the temperature in the room begins to rise. Trimagashi explains to Goreng, you can only eat when the platform is on your floor, and if you leave any food out, the temperature will start to rise or fall until they die. Goreng came to a business meeting to sign a contract. He will go to the pit for 6 months voluntarily. He was allowed to take one thing, but since cigarettes are forbidden, he decided to take the book Don Quixote. After 6 months in the pit, he will receive a certificate. Trimagashi is perplexed because he will be here for a year and get nothing. At night Goreng will hear a strange sound. He looks down and miraculously is not hit by a platform flying up. It took a long time to get to the lower floors. A new day arrives. Goreng still eats nothing. After the meal, Goreng asks Trimagashi how he fell into the pit. He tells how he once saw an advertisement for a knife and was told it was the sharpest knife in the world. After buying it he saw another advertisement for the same knife and was told it would never blunt. Realizing he had been duped, Trimagashi threw the TV out the window, which fell on the young immigrant and killed him. He was offered a choice of either a mental hospital or a year in the pit. The old man chose the pit and took the very same knife with him. He told me that he was on level 132 last month and that the platform comes already without food, but it is not the lowest yet. Goreng tries again to talk to his neighbors to save food, but all he hears in response is profanity, and Trimagashi has an argument of his own. A hungry Goreng cautiously begins to eat a little, and the old man tries to eat more each time. As the platform leaves, a man's body flies past them. Trimagashi tells a surprised Goreng how he was once lucky enough to wake up on the 8th floor. You're always fed up there, and the appearance of a platform with food doesn't make me feel any emotion. It makes some people lose the meaning of life. Goreng asks what happened to his roommate, since you live with the same person all months and neighbors don't change, just the floor. Goreng emphasizes that Trimagashi has a knife and his roommate is missing after living on a floor where food doesn't reach, but the old man denies all accusations. Suddenly a platform appears on which a girl named Miharu sits. Trimagashi knows her. She goes down every month to look for her son. Goreng is shocked to see that children are also placed in the pit. He tries to help her, but she silently goes on. The old man says that Miharu always kills his neighbors in order to have a chance to wake up on the same floor as his son. It is possible that the fall of people is the work of Miharu, and adds that he did not kill his neighbor. They ate together the man who fell on top of them on the platform, and at the end of the month his roommate was released. The neighbors below grab Miharu, but she kills them and moves on. Trimagashi asks his neighbor to read to him, who agrees to take his mind off what he is seeing. Goreng settles in a bit, and for the next few days and weeks they have fun together over conversation and dinner. One night, Trimagashi asks Goreng to pray for them, if he believes in God, because he feels they are releasing sleeping gas and they will wake up on a new floor tomorrow. Goreng wakes up tied to the bed. The old man says they are on the 171st floor, and since there will be no food here, he had to tie up a younger and stronger neighbor. Trimagashi says that they will starve for a week, and then he will start cutting off pieces from Goreng, but he promises that he will share. A week passes. Trimagashi begins to cut Goreng's leg. He tries to stop his neighbor and says that he will blame Trimagashi for his death and not the creators of the pit. But the old man doesn't care. He stabs Goreng in the leg. Suddenly a platform on which Micharo sits appears. She stuns Trimagashi and then releases Goreng, as he was kind to her unlike many. Goreng in a rage crawls up to the old man and kills him with his own knife. Later he wakes up and sees Micharo eating the old man. She brings him a piece and gives him some water, and then leaves with the platform. In the kitchen, the chef reprimands his subordinates for a hair in the dish. For a whole month, Goreng eats his neighbor's decomposing body, and he is haunted by Trimagashi, who tells him that Goreng is no better than himself now that he has committed murder and eats human flesh. A new month arrives. Goreng wakes up on the 33rd floor. His new roommate is a girl, Imajirai, who has brought her dog with her. She used to be a pit administration worker and took Goreng's request. During the meeting she asked him about his favorite food. He answered snails. After all, with each new person in the pit, the menu increases by one dish. She, too, volunteered to be here and chose Goreng as her roommate, since he was the only one who took the book with him. She talks about the arrangement of the pit, which the administration calls a vertical self-service center. There are 200 floors in total, and if people used food rationally, there would be enough for everyone. This experiment should cause a spontaneous sense of solidarity among people. Imajirai says that only those over 16 are sent to the pit. She divides the food into portions and gives half to the dog. Imajirai tries to convince the people below to use the food wisely and make 2 portions for the people below them, but they don't listen to her, and Goreng threatens to defecate on the food if they don't listen. One day, Micharo comes down on the platform again. She is wounded and lying unconscious. Goreng and Imajirai pick her up and put her on the bed to help her. During the night, she wakes up and eats the dog, as she was very hungry. In the morning, Goreng tries to justify her, as she is doing all this for the baby. Imajirai says that she interviewed Micharo and she has no children, so the girl is just crazy. Imajirai has no reason to lie. She is sick with cancer and has very little left to live for. On the last day of the month, he finds the snails he ordered on the platform. The next morning, he wakes up on the 202nd floor, even though Imajirai said there are 200 floors in total in the pit. Goreng sees that his roommate has hanged herself. The voices in his head tell him to eat the girl. His mental state is on edge, and he does what he needs to do to survive. After a month, he wakes up on the 6th floor and meets a new neighbor named Bahara, who has brought a rope and wants to use it to climb up. He believes in God and says that it was God who advised him to climb up. After a while he manages to convince the neighbors above to secure the rope, but when Bahara climbs up they let go of the rope and he nearly falls down. Goreng sees that his neighbor needs justice as much as he does, not just survival. He convinces his neighbor to ride the platform down and give people equal portions of food. He calculates that there are approximately 250 stories in the pit, and if that doesn't work out, they'll ride the platform up. The next day they make a weapon out of a bed frame. They are quite successful in protecting the food and go lower and lower, giving each person the same portion of food. On one of the floors they meet a man who knows Baccarat. It is his teacher. He admonishes them as they trample the precious food, and that they should make their goals clearer to the inhabitants of the pit, not just threaten them with weapons. They want to send a message to the administration to make them understand that the people in the pit have changed. Such a symbol could be one of the dishes that will go down to the very bottom and remain untouched. Panna cotta is chosen as such a dish. They try to explain their idea to people, but they do not want to listen to anything, and then the men have to fight back, and they give out the same portion of food at each level. As they descend lower and lower, they reach the floors where there are only corpses. The platform does not stop on such floors. They hear screams and see Micharo fighting 2 men who also have guns. One of them wounds Baccarat, and the other kills Micharo. Goreng fights with one of the men, nearly killing him, but Baccarat, coming to the rescue in time, manages to save his neighbor and pull him back to the platform. The platform, having descended to the 250th floor, continues its movement, and the men realize that there are many more floors in the pit. When they reach the last 333 floors, they see a child under the bed. When they get off the platform, it immediately descends even lower. Bahara holds the panna cotta. Goreng tells him to throw the food away as food cannot be left on the floor, but this time the temperature has not started to rise or fall. The men give the dessert to the girl, who happily eats it, and they are left bleeding, with no message and no food. In the dream, Goreng gets the idea to send the girl upstairs so the staff can see that someone has survived on the lowest floor. The next day, Baccarat dies of his wounds, and Goreng and the girl get on a platform and go even lower. Trimagashi below him, who says his journey is over and that the girl must go up alone. Goreng slides off the platform and walks with Trimagashi's hallucination into the darkness, and the platform with the girl rushes to the top. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like it, subscribe to the channel and comment on what movie you want to see next. With you, as always, CRH Films. Have a good day or night and see you soon.